Guys, today I'm going to tell a story that will explain where the word narcissist comes from and why being in love with yourself is considered a curse. It's the tragedy of Echo and Narcissus, one of the most sad stories in Greek mythology. And look that this is talking a lot, because the Greeks were experts in inventing sad endings for everyone. Let's start with Echo, because her story is heartbreaking. Echo was a beautiful nymph, such that make the whole forest more beautiful just with her presence. But what made her really special was her voice. The girl had the gift of words like no one else. She could entertain anyone for hours telling stories, making jokes, singing. It was like an influencer of antiquity, but without a camera. But then she made the fatal mistake. She got involved in Hera's affairs. Zeus, as always, was having his extramarital affairs, and Hera was investigating her husband's betrayals. Only that whenever Hera came close to discovering something, Echo appeared and started chattering without stopping, distracting the goddess with endless conversations. "Hera, did you see how beautiful you are today? This hair is wonderful. And this tunic, where did you buy it? Tell me, how was your day? I want to know everything." And Hera was there, involved in the conversation, while Zeus ran away with the mistress of the time. Until one day Hera discovered the scheme. The fury of the goddess was epic. "Ah, so you like to talk so much? Well, then you will speak, but you will only be able to repeat the last words that you hear." People, imagine the cruelty of this curse. Echo, who was known for eloquence, suddenly could only repeat the fine phrases of others. If someone said, "What a beautiful day," she could only say, "Beautiful day." The most chatty nymph of Greece has become practically mute. What a sadistic revenge! Echo was devastated and isolated in the forest, ashamed of her own condition. Until one day, she saw him. Narcissus was the son of the river god Sephiso with the nymph Liriope. And guys, when I say that this boy was beautiful, I'm talking about an absurd beauty. Imagine the most beautiful man you have ever seen in life and multiply by 1,000. Golden hair like rays of sun, eyes that looked like precious stones, sculptural body. The guy was literally the Greek definition of physical perfection. But I had a little problem. Narcissus was a complete asshole. Since he was a child, he knew that he was beautiful and used it to humiliate everyone. He rejected all the suitors with an impressive cruelty. Girls proposed and he laughed in their faces. Boys fell in love and he threw them out with contempt. His ego was so great that he believed no one in the world was worthy of his love. And then Echo saw this Greek god walking through the forest and, humba, fell madly in love. But how would she declare herself if she could only repeat words? The anxiety of the girl was unbearable. She followed Narciso hidden, waiting for the perfect opportunity. Until one day, Narcissus got lost in the forest and shouted, "Is there someone there?" And Echo finally managed to answer, "Someone there." Narcissus was curious. "Come to me." "To me," replied Echo, coming out of hiding with a beating heart. But when Narcissus saw the nymph approaching, his reaction was cruel. "Get out of my face. I would rather die than let you touch me." And Echo only managed to repeat the words that broke her heart. "Let you touch me." Narcissus left laughing, leaving the nymph in pieces. And Echo was so devastated that he began to languish with sadness. She stopped eating, stopped sleeping, just wandered through the forest repeating phrases of pain until her body literally disappeared. Only her voice remains, which even today echoes through the mountains repeating the last word she hears. But the story does not stop there, because the gods were revolted with the cruelty of Narcissus. Nemesis, the goddess of divine vengeance, decided that the boy needed to learn a lesson. Let him feel on his skin what it is to love without being reciprocated. And the punishment was genial in its perversity. One day, Narciso was hunting and got thirsty. He approached a source of crystal clear water to drink and saw his own reflection. But it was not an ordinary reflection. Nemesis made him see the most perfect image of himself, embellished by divine magic. And Narciso fell madly in love with his own reflection. Who is this perfect being, he thought. I have never seen so much beauty in my life. He tried to touch his face in the water, but the image was distorted. He tried to kiss, but could only drink water. He tried to hug, but embraced the void. And then he realized the cruel reality. He was in love with himself. How can I possess myself? Said Narcissus. How can I have what I already am? His psychological agony was unbearable. He finally understood what it meant to love without hope of correspondence. Exactly what I had done with Echo and hundreds of other broken hearts. Narciso stood there, glued to the edge of the fountain, unable to move away from his own reflection. Stopped eating, stopped sleeping, just looking at the water and sighing of impossible love. And you know what is more disturbing? From time to time he heard a voice whispering the last words he spoke. It was Echo, still in love, repeating his laments. Why do you torture me like that? He screamed to the reflection. You torture like this. Echoed the voice of the nymph who still loved him even after all. Narciso languished just as Echo had languished. The difference is that when he died, a flower was born on the spot, the flower we now call Narcissus. And Echo. She kept whispering his name through the mountains until today. This story is devastating because it shows how love can be destructive when it's not healthy. Echo fell obsessively in love with someone who despised her and preferred to languish to move on. Narcissus was such a narcissist that he could only love when he found someone just like him, who was himself. The two died of love, but in completely different ways. She died loving who did not want her. He died wanting who could never have. And the saddest, they could have been happy together if Narcissus wasn't so cruel and Echo was not so obsessive. The moral of history is profound. True love needs reciprocity and respect. Obsessive passion destroys who loves, and excessive narcissism destroys who loves too much. How often do we see this in real life? People who fall in love with those who reject them and are consumed by obsession. Others who are so self-centered that they can't love anyone but themselves. Greek mythology created the perfect archetypes to explain these toxic behaviors that we still see today. Have you ever been through something similar? Have you ever fallen in love with someone narcissistic, like Narcissus? Or were you ever obsessive like Echo? The difference is that today we can do therapy instead of turning flower or eternal Echo. Leave in the comments your experiences and sign up for more stories that will make you rethink relationships. And remember, if someone does not want you, do not insist until it becomes Echo. You deserve someone who loves them back.